Good morning, everybody, and welcome once again to Ask Me Anything, sponsored by Blockcerts. This is where you can come and get all your questions answered on blockchain. And I wanted to let you know that while we're going to keep the Ask Me Anything format, we're going to start diving into different topics every week. We think it'll be better for our listeners to actually get updates on certain topics where we can dive in depth, but we'll always be open for questions, right, Tim? Tim, you there?
Yeah, Jay, I'm sorry. You cut out there for a second.
Oh, okay. I was just introducing everybody to the concept of going to a slightly different format. While their questions are always welcomed, we wanted to offer people an in-depth analysis of different parts of Blockcerts. And I was just starting to talk about that. So I wanted to welcome everyone to our webinar. And Tim, welcome. I know that there are some updates that are near and dear to your heart.
Yeah, Jay, thanks very much. I think this is an incredible week in blockchain world, Jay. The most probably important thing that's happened since digital currencies came onto the market, as far as regulations anyway, happened this week when the SEC noted that Bitcoin and Ethereum are not securities, and that and they've made a definition effectively of what blockchain is and how it can be properly funded, implemented in the world, and utilized. So there's some articles on the announcements and how the SEC is interpreting things. But basically, the big change is in the last couple of years, these ICOs that came out, many of which have failed, were based on ideas and concepts and white papers and things like that. And the reality is they were just that, ideas, and ideas that didn't have actual software or traction behind them, real code. And what excites us, obviously, at Blockcerts is we've been working on an application for over a decade. We've got millions of man hours into this. We've got our functioning blockchain that we're releasing to live production. This month, we're releasing our apps. And we now have a definitive statement from regulators that say, if you have a platform and you're a blockchain, you're not a security. That means we can open this up, Jay. We can open it up to the world, which has always been Blockcerts International's mission.
Great. And one of the things I noticed about this, in addition to having a functioning software, is the decentralization aspect of the entire thing. And I think that speaks well to the whole concept you put into motion on the open structure organization. You want to dive into that a little bit?
Yeah, that's exactly right. When we talk about a real operating platform and how to create a blockchain-enabled company, we're now talking about the open structure organization, where we can create stakeholders and participants and governance of the actual organization. We can create business models around a foundation of the people who really contribute to the mission of the company, the purpose of the organization, are able to benefit from that. So the open structure organization allows the people who are really making a difference in any company or any organization to be part of that and to be rewarded and benefited through it. What blockchain does and Blockcerts does is it allows people to benefit from their tokens, much like miners have as Bitcoin has grown and Ethereum has grown, these big mining operations that create these hashes. Well, that will now be happening by the actual people using the blockchain and benefiting from it, and really driving benefits for their organizations and what they're involved in by every transaction they do. So I think it's really exciting evolution in that regard as well with what the open structure organization is all about. And we'll talk more about that on my blog and in our upcoming book that we're going to have out this fall.
Great. Well, one of the great things about shifting a little bit away from the interview format is that we can bring more members of our team on board to discuss these different aspects. So if we have something to do with marketing, obviously Dan could be on the call. If it has to do with operations, it could be Robert that gets on the call. Or if it has to do with fundraising or something like that, obviously I could still be on the call. But I think what we're looking at, Tim, is this is our 14th weekly episode. And while the Tim and Jay show may be entertaining, I think it'll be great to get the entire crew in and get some different ideas, especially some of our channel partners like Greg Kular, Renato Lebron, and some of the other people that are such a big impact into the Blockcerts model. And it'll give our listeners a little more of a varied comprehension of what we're doing.
I totally agree, Jay. There's a tremendous amount of knowledge and talent. I think what impresses me the most is how big the movement is in Blockcerts, in what we're building here, and how many people there are, and how much knowledge each one of those specialty knowledge each one of those people has. Not just the people who are on the panel, but also how big the ecosystem already is. You know, this morning I was on a call, a video call, congratulating one of our senior certified partners that's developing our mobile apps on blockchain, Blockcerts blockchain. And they're just opening their inaugural new offices in Mumbai. Really beautiful offices. People there. At last count, we've got over 200 people, marketing people to business analysts to strategists, all engaged in Blockcerts block.
That's definitely impressive, and the fact that we just have so many different people from so many different industries, I think that provides a great breadth of experience. So while we have experts in supply chain, we also have experts in different industry sectors. I think it'll be exciting to start opening up the entire webinar series to a little more of an in-depth and maybe even more personal approach to what we're doing on individual levels. All right, it looks like Tim dropped off the call. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and open it up to some of our team members. Robert, you're the victim. Do you have any comments on that regulatory statement from the SEC about Ethereum as basically not securities?
Hey, Jay, thank you. Yes, I think it's a great opportunity for all those that are investing. If you've gotten a chance to read the actual write-up or review from the SEC, it describes that as long as this is not considered a centralized, I'm sorry, I'm lost. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
We hear you fine.
What I was saying is if you read the write-up, it talks about how as long as it's not a centralized authority and it's the decentralized ability that both Ethereum and Bitcoin have established, that therefore it's not considered a security. So I think that, which is the same thing we're establishing here at Blockcerts, where it's a decentralized authority, that it translates very well with what we're doing and therefore would not be considered security and purely a utility token.
Yeah, I agree. I think I think we meet the criteria as the SEC's laid it out. Obviously, this is their first shot across the bow, so I'm sure there will be a lot of adjustments to their statements. But to me, that was a really nice bit of good news for the cryptocurrency and blockchain communities respectively, because I think it tells us, okay, the SEC's thinking about it, and at least they have some ideas about what may constitute a utility token versus a securities token.
Correct. And they have taken a long time in making this statement, and they did make statements. There are ICOs that are out there that would be considered a security token as well, so that not to be a totally exempt, a carte blanche exemption. I think, Tim, are you back on? I think he's muted.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, my internet connection dropped there.
Okay, great. I'll let you pick it up.
I'll have to listen to Ask Me Anything to hear what you said, Bob.
Right. Well, we were basically talking about the SEC announcement, and while I'm sure we'll go through all kinds of convolutions as they really start to figure it out, I thought that was a great first step in defining what a utility token is and giving some structure and guidance to the community itself.
Yeah, well, I think that, the reason it's so exciting is because we have had so many requests. I don't know if you heard me before I got cut off, but as I said, there's over 200 people now at last count that are involved in Blockcerts blockchain. I was on with Mauritius last night in Africa. As I said,
Oh, there he goes again. Precipitous timing, too.
Yes, unfortunately, he's traveling
Yeah.
and maybe not have a good connection.
Well, Bob, given the fact that Tim's having connectivity problems and that we're moving to a new format, I'm considering maybe we just cut this Ask Me Anything a little short, unless right now we're not getting a lot of questions from our audience. We didn't publish the marketing for this Ask Me Anything, so we don't have a huge attendance today. If anyone has a question, if they want to post it, we'll be happy to answer. Otherwise, I'm thinking maybe we just cut this one a little short and just announce that we're going to a new format starting next week.
I think so. I think Tim is back. I don't know if he's muted.
Yeah, I am back on. Sorry, I'm on a really unstable internet connection. Apparently, it just keeps kicking me off. So, yeah, I think that maybe what we could do is we could announce exactly what some of our more important things are that have been achieved in a special summary. Ask Me Anything, Jay, and from there we can start our new format and start talking about specific things we're doing to get Blockcerts blockchain launched.
Well, that sounds great. So why don't we schedule that for next week? And I think, I'm not sure if you were on, Tim, but I was thinking, we include more of the core executive team on these Ask Me Anything calls, so we can kind of round robin it a little bit.
Well, I'll tell you what, here's my suggestion. Why don't we do something next Tuesday? We've got our weekly call on Tuesday with many of our channel partners and some that you mentioned. And we'll do an open format. We'll do a summary, and we'll ask people to chime in, and we'll start our new format then. And we'll send out a special invitation to anybody who wants to join that call for next week. How would that be?
Okay, we'll huddle up and we'll put together a plan and we will execute.
Sounds good.
Sounds great.
I like that.
Excellent.
Right.
Yeah, but it's very exciting, and we'll just move on from here for today, since I don't have a stable internet, and we'll make sure that Ask Me Anything continues in the new format to give even more information about what's happening in blockchain world.
Great. Well, thanks for attending, everybody. Thanks for coming on, Tim. I know it's been a challenge today, but we appreciate your presence. And Bob, thanks for jumping in. And we'll see everybody next week.
Sounds good. I look forward to it.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.